So it seems like Krept and Konan annoyed some of you guys last week. Hi everyone, I'm Serena the journalist, and we're back with another video. So for those of you who don't know, Krept and Konan, a hip hop and rap duo, recently announced that they were opening a new supermarket in Croydon, and everyone was happy for them all over social media, as they should be. In one of their statements, they said something along the lines of, "Saveways, which is their new store, Saveways is game changing for our community." But what community are we really talking about? The Black community? The Croydon community? Both? There are so many different communities one person is attached to. It's probably best, I think, to be a bit clearer at what community you're trying to target. And so in today's video, that is what I'm going to be talking about. Do we support Black-owned businesses just because they're Black and because they're part of the community? Or should we just shop at stores where we feel comfortable with? As I said earlier, Krept and Konan are a duo that's been around for over a decade now. I literally remember being at school and all the girls having a crush on at least one of them. They had a good run up until like 2019, and it seemed like they separated to do their own things. Konan was often a star on Asylum's YouTube show, where other influencers and YouTubers went to be a part of, such as Larry Pinero, Nella Rose, Jack. I don't know his name, but Jack. You know, that type of vibe. Krept was known to be in a relationship where he had a daughter and created his own baby brand, which we'll get to in a minute. They are from South London, Croydon, hence the shop being in Croydon. And for those who don't know, the borough of Croydon is huge. Like, I think it's the biggest borough in London. It's massive, with almost 400,000 people living in Croydon alone. Half the borough identify as Black, Asian, or have a mixed heritage, which is quite big considering that Black people in the UK only make up about 4% of the population. London, as we know of, is the most diverse city in the UK, but even so, it's possible to go to other neighbourhoods and not see one single Black person there. Trust me, been there, done that. Yeah, it's not the best. So given the era of Croydon and the duo, they've definitely tried to stick with their roots and using their platforms and talent to help out the community. Much like Stormzy, who's from Thornton Heath and had his Stormzy publishing book deal with Penguin, I believe, to give underrepresented young authors a chance to write and be published, which I think is great, by the way. I think it's great that they're not just getting rich and famous and shooting off to some rich area, but you know, they're still doing things to help the community, which is how it should be. Krept and Konan had a restaurant, Krept and Koans. I rate the choice of name and the play on words here, I really do. The store opened in 2018 and it was basically a halal food restaurant. But in a recent interview, they said how they were hiring their own people who weren't able to get jobs, which basically caused trouble for the business and apparently had problems with people stealing. And I think the restaurant shut down in 2013, I think. So the pair are not new to business and entrepreneurship. Most of us know of Nala's Baby, Krept's baby brand in honor of his daughter Nala, and that has been doing really well. Like, he's really doing his big one with that. Him and Sasha, they're doing well. But regarding their store, the response hasn't been all that positive for the duo. It's been revealed that they only earn 4% of Saveways. Now, this is my question to you guys. What is the limit when we call something Black owned? The pair went on a podcast to talk about the store and kind of got at the Black community, I feel like, a bit, for saying how people, you know, would rather shop at Aldi or Lidl, who are owned by Germans. They don't care about who owns the store they shop at. But when it's them, it's a problem. Now, I'm not sure if this was some sort of reverse psychology or something. On one hand, I get what they're trying to say, but on the other hand, it's kind of irrelevant. As they only own 4% of the store, it's not exactly their store. There is an Asian man who runs it, who we've seen in the pictures, who they'll probably have to take orders from. I particularly don't think that is an honest comparison, because where else are Black people supposed to shop? Systemic racism, as we know, has been a huge barrier in the UK, where Black Britons haven't been able to have nationwide successful businesses around the country. And I think that we need to keep that in mind when we're talking about Black-owned businesses. It is hard. In 2019, it was estimated that there were 124,000 Black businesses in the UK, which is only 2.7% of the country's small and medium-sized businesses. 2.7%. That is not a lot. And yes, it's easy to see a lot of people around us open up their small businesses. But when we think about the UK, only 2.7% of small businesses are owned by Black people. And with that being said, even if we don't go to all these supermarkets, there are always small grocery stores that are aunties, uncles, cousins, granddaunts, you get the vibe. Oh, there are many small grocery stores that I still go to. But saying that, it does seem like there's not as many as there were a few years ago. And who do we have to blame for that? Gentrification! Woo! I'm joking, guys. Gentrification sucks. So gentrification is the process of a character of a poor urban area is pushed out in response to wealthier people, businesses, and houses moving in, getting rid of older and local people in the process. This has not been a new thing, by the way. Areas that were most protected by the local communities and smaller businesses have now turned into places with big and expensive department stores that many people in the community wouldn't even be able to benefit from. Brixton, I think, is a clear example. Brixton has for decades been known for its large Afro-Caribbean population, which came due to the Windrush generation settling there in around the late 1940s. There was a time when it was even named Little Jamaica. But anyway, things are changing for the Southwestern District, which have Black locals who have been living there for decades saying that there is a huge change. According to the ONS, the Office for National Statistics, in just 20 years, Black people went up from making 12.58% of Brixton to only 8% of the area's population. You had the famous Brixton Market, which has been replaced by department stores. I will say it is quite easy to get from Brixton into inner London, resulting in property developers cashing in on a new influx of renters, where they brought out a lot of Lambeth social housing over the past decade. Lambeth Council, which the council Brixton is in, lost 5,000 social homes in the 10 years leading up to 2016. So yes, guys, gentrification sucks. I think even around London, the amount of Prets that we see popping up everywhere is a clear sign about the direction the council wants that specific area to go in. Like, if you go to main central London, you will see a Pret literally every 5-minute walk. The amount of Prets that's around the area that I work in is insane. It's crazy. I don't think I can even count it on one hand. When it seems like gentrification is taking over, where there's an overload of £1 million businesses, most Black-owned shops are pushed further out. So I do think it's a bit unfair that it seems like Krept and Konan were criticising people for not shopping at Black-owned businesses, when most of the time we have no choice. Many entrepreneurs make their business, but it takes a lot to sustain even a small business in this economy, as well as facing the barriers that can arise with it. As I said earlier, the duo are not the sole owners of the store, which still makes people uneasy about the collaboration, especially Black women. For decades, Black women have given their money and loyalty to Asian-owned hair shops, for example, where sometimes they're met with anger and aggression. In 2013, there was this whole issue where a Black woman was accused of stealing and the owner of the hair store literally strangled her. The community was outraged, justifiably, and ended up boycotting the store. And I think the owner even had to rebrand. I don't know how it's doing now, but I doubt it's as popular as it was before. But it was a moment when Black women were wondering, do I give my money to these guys? Is it worth being degraded? And the answer is no, it's never worth being degraded. So in this case, it's natural why Black women wouldn't be running to the Saveways store. So is there a point of changing your local to go to Saveways when the majority of your money won't even be going to the Black shareholders? As I mentioned, the duo said it was good for the community, and I asked, what community? Croydon, I can see, where it's easy in distance, so you don't have to drive far or probably even walk far. So yeah, it probably does help the locals. Even we're talking about helping local people get jobs. I do think that is a success in itself, and I do think that should be celebrated, given that jobs are so hard to find. But most of us assume they were talking about the Black British community as a whole, which is quite tricky, as the community is broken down mostly by heritage and whether the person is from an African or Caribbean heritage. The shop is also halal, which I think is great when making certain foods and processes available for a community that is often disregarded when it comes to mainstream shopping. So I do think that the Muslim community will benefit from it. At the same time, if there's someone who doesn't care about where or how their food is made, or whether it's halal or not, I can't see them running to Saveways to shop there for the sake of it. And so I wouldn't say this is a whole win for the Black community in itself, but more of a win for the duo. And I do think it's great for them. It will benefit them, but I don't see how it will benefit the whole Black community. I understand in marketing terms where to get their preferred audience, probably Black people, it's better to say Black owned. But back to my initial question, to what extent do we call something Black owned? I definitely feel like in the community there's this name to say things are Black owned for good reason, because Black owned businesses are underrepresented, but sometimes people do use it as a way to try to pressure the Black community into buying from Black owned stores. People are going to buy from whoever they want to buy from at the end of the day, whether it's Black owned or not. I understand supporting a business because a lot of small businesses actually need every single pound that they make, but customers do not get anything from actually going to Black owned businesses. And so I think the pressure needs to be taken off just a bit. If someone wants to shop at Aldi or Tesco instead of Saveways, that is fine. If someone lives 2 minutes from Aldi, why are they going to drive half an hour to Saveways for the sake of it? So a quick reminder, no one is entitled to Black people's money, including Black ownerships themselves. And at a further extent, no business or company is required your funds just because they say so. For me, I'm always going to go for the best deal. So unless I hear that Saveways are doing some crazy discount, which will cut how much my shopping is in half or so, I personally won't be running to the store, but I appreciate what it's trying to do, and that I think how Krept and Konan are going about making businesses and probably trying to create generational wealth for their families is really smart and important, and something that not many rappers have been able to tap into. But with Black owned businesses, what do you think? Do you think Black people should be obliged to shop at Black owned stores just because? Do you think it matters? What do you class as Black owned business? Does the percent matter? Let me know in the comment section below. That was all for my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what you think. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I'm Serena the Journalist, and we'll be back next week for another video.